So, today's episode of Self-Dom is all about breathwork. Today's guest is someone who oozes out all the good vibes. So, today we've got Eddie Nelson. She is the founder of Bread, and she taught me one of the hardest Pilates classes I've ever done, and then ended it with this amazing breathwork. And I'm someone who has always done breathwork, but Eddie really reignited my love for it, and I'm really grateful that you did that.
Thank you.
So, a little bit about Eddie. She's a qualified breathwork coach, and she does all different types of breathwork. I did a breakthrough breathwork with her, which was incredible, but she'll speak about that on the episode. If you are someone who has never tried this practice before, I think this is going to be an amazing podcast to teach you what it's all about and how to give it a go and where to give it a try. So without further ado, here's my interview with the inspiring Eddie Nelson. So welcome to the pod, Eddie.
Thank you. Hello.
It feels like fate that we met last year. We were just talking about that.
That's actually, we were just talking about that.
Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
Like
and
a lot happened in my life when I met you.
Yeah. And honestly, same with me.
I know. Weird. Crazy.
And so quickly as well. Like it just doesn't feel, yeah.
But good energy. I feel like good energy attracts good energy.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Now we're sitting here in my living room doing a pod.
Yeah,
and
your beautiful living room.
Yes.
Stunning.
So let's jump into it. So I thought we'd start by finding out how you discovered breathwork and what made you want to become a breathwork coach.
Yeah, good question. So I was 19 and I was in Europe, and my Europe trip kind of completely fell apart. And then I ended up going to take a meditation fitness retreat. And there was this beautiful woman, and she was taking us through this breath work. And back then at 19, so I'm 25 now, so that was a long time ago. I was like, oh, what is this breath work thing? And I was it just was a weird taboo word, right? Anyway, I was open-minded to it, did this session, and I was like crying, bawling my eyes out.
Wow, your first time.
Wow.
Wow.
I was like 19. Because she just said, just breathe. And I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. And it was a very intense experience. And I think probably a bit too intense for me at that time. And I ended up sort of not really practicing it, but it kind of came back into my life only sort of kind of right before I met you, when I was, about a year ago, even a bit before. And it was actually my dad that was like, Eddie, like, you should try this whole breathwork thing. And I was very much like, Dad, like, I do yoga, like, I do meditation, I don't need breathwork. I was, I was good, like, I was happy, I was peaceful. But I gave it a try, and sort of, if you know me and know my personality, like, I'm pretty intense. And when I find something I like I am like obsessed, right? So like, it's like my Pilates classes. I'm like, let's go. So I practiced this breath work. I did one on YouTube, and it was like a breakthrough session. And of course, like, we'll probably get into all that later, but I kind of like closed the door, did this breath work, and I felt tingling in my hands. I felt emotions come up. I was like crying, and my body was like kind of making weird movements. And I finished this breath work, and I was like looking at my hands, and I actually filmed myself as well. I just for some reason felt pulled to do that. And I was looking at my hands, and I was like, I have never in my life felt so in my body and so connected. And I really don't say it lightly, because I feel like for a really long time I was very disconnected and very much in fight or flight and very unhappy and very just a bit unhinged and lost, to be honest. And when I found this breath work and I did this session, I just felt so in my body and so calm and so grounded. And then I started practicing breakthrough sessions every single day, which I realized now you don't need to do them every single day, which was probably a bit much, but I mean, it was incredible experience. Like, I would just like close the door and say to my family, no one come inside. I'm doing my breakthrough session. So I started doing them every single day, and then it just became like bigger than me. Like, it wasn't about me anymore. I was like, I need to share this with as many people as I possibly can. And I think that's when I met you so beautifully and at Peaches, and then started bringing breathwork more into it, and then spent a lot of money to become a qualified teacher. And now I've got my own breathwork business and sort of, teaching breathwork and to sort of anyone, really.
And I think it's really special how you mentioned your dad brought it into your life. And I feel like a lot of our parents are a bit kind of, it's not something they were brought up with breathwork. So it's really special to have that connection with your dad. And I actually did meet Eddie's dad when we did a breathwork session with
yes,
her.
he loves you. I forgot about that. Yes.
So I can completely understand his aura and his energy and where you get that from. So
yes, thank
it's
you.
sounds really organic, and with everyone I've kind of spoken to on their health and wellness journey, it sounded like they did something for themselves and they loved it, and then they wanted to share it. And I think those are the people you want to learn from, because you're inspired, because they've actually gone from A to B and they have this tool that has helped them excel.
Yeah, it's actually so true. I couldn't agree more, because it's like you do this and then it feels good for you, and then how you teach it and how you go about your work and your life, like it's embodied from this authenticity.
It's so
because
authentic.
it's in my body, and this is what I'm sharing. I'm not talking from my head, I'm talking from my heart.
Yes.
Like this stuff works. So yeah, it's so true. I love that's such a good point, because it's true. Yeah.
And I wanted to touch on movement and breath work, because obviously you speak about how you're a Pilates teacher and that you're really passionate about that.
Yeah.
And what is the importance of ending our workouts with a breath work practice?
Yeah.
Because you always do it, and I
Always.
love that you do it.
Yeah. So I just think, like, I love a good workout. I love when the music's blaring. I love when the music's pumping. I love kind of getting out of my head and into my body and kind of throwing myself into this workout. Don't get me wrong, I love that. Pilates is amazing because it is really about that mind-body connection. Like, as I always say, okay, I'm like, Dom, do this, shoulders relax, chin in front of this, shoulders, blah, blah. And it's like, you can't really be anywhere else. You do have to focus on your form. And I love Pilates for that element. It's amazing, and why I got so into it, and why, again, I became a qualified instructor. But what I think is so important when you finish a workout like that is to bring you back down, is to calm you back down and get you into a regulated state. I find when I used to, and I have nothing against my F45s, my Barry's boot camp, I love those workouts, but I walk out and I'm like, ooh, coffee, adrenaline, endorphins running, and it's like, let's calm back down.
Yeah.
Let's ground ourselves. Let's get into a calm, relaxed, regulated state, which is why at the end of those Pilates sessions, I have all of my clients lying down, put your hands on your bodies and just take a few deep conscious breaths. And it doesn't have to be anything too crazy. It can be a couple of minutes. And all of the women and the men afterwards, when they're finished, like, they are calm and they are relaxed. I tell them to put their hands above their head. I usually say, you're all probably going to yawn, or you're all probably maybe feel a little bit emotional, depending maybe if you're a woman and where you're at in your cycle, you might feel a little bit teary, a little bit tense. But they all walk out feeling calm and relaxed. And to be a calm, regulated human is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. If you are emotionally regulated, if you are calm and you let life sort of unfold, and how you sort of kind of see things and perceive things from a relaxed, regulated state, life is good.
Yeah.
Life, it's so important. It's so important. So that's my biggest thing, and that's why I always end whatever I'm doing with breath work. Always.
I can really relate to that, because the last few days I've been doing really hard workouts, which has been amazing, and I feel super strong, but my sleep has been super off. And then yesterday I went and just did a Pilates session, and like the breathing at the end, and then I had such a good sleep last night. And then this morning Tom and I woke up, and usually we'll go for like a big walk, and I was like, let's just go find a spot and meditate. And like, now the day has been so productive. And there's one part of doing a workout, because you release those endorphins and you feel good, and that's going to make you productive. But I also think an unspoken thing is like meditating and breath work puts you in a calm state, so then when decisions come, you just go through your life with ease. And I really felt that over the last 24 hours. So it's interesting that you say that. So I'm such a big advocate of weight training, of course, but if you're going to do that training, spend 5 to 10 minutes after just breathing, stretching, because it's very easy to just leave the gym, carry on with the day. Your cortisol's high, and as a female, it's not that good for you. So I think it's a really good lesson, no matter what workout you do, to just give yourself that time for you.
Yeah, completely. And like, it's crazy how it does set the tone, the trajectory of your day. This morning, I got up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I didn't have time to do my breath work because I had a big corporate and I was probably a little bit nervous. So that's the time when you really need to do your breath work. But I didn't, and I did my corporate, and then I did a Pilates workout. And then after the Pilates, I was like, okay, so do your breathing. And so I went and I sat like on a random little hill just down near here, and I just did 5 minutes of breath work, and I opened my eyes and I was like, oh, okay, I'm back. Like I'm in my body. And it's like, you know, practice what you preach. It's so important, and at any time of the day. But you're right, especially after like exercise and movement. Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of get into our next question, which flows perfectly. Is it's funny because breath work is something that obviously we breathe naturally. It's free. It takes 5 minutes, but so many people have never tried it before.
Yeah.
But most people have tried a workout before. So what would be your advice to someone who's never done breath work before? How could they start?
Yeah, good question. So I think the best way, if you're wanting to incorporate breath work into your life, into your morning routine, just wherever, is honestly like go on YouTube and just type in 5 to 10 minutes of calm, down regulating morning breath. And it's crazy all of the results that come up. I mean, I'm going to start doing online programs and stuff. But for now, do that. Just click on the first video. Don't get too in your head about what video it is, and just do it. And I know it sounds like all that classic advice where people are like, just do it, just start. But genuinely, type into your phone, 5 minutes of calm, down regulating breath to set the tone for your morning. There are so many videos, and just start practicing in the morning. And it's, again, you can't do this wrong. It's your breath. It's breath work. Like, people call it woo-woo. It's the most un-woo-woo thing in the whole world.
It's natural thing.
It's our breath. Like, we're just consciously breathing. And I think that would be my biggest thing is, and again, I think in the morning, because that's usually when we're sort of the most creative, the most kind of, I don't know, usually in the best headspace. So do it in the morning. And again, before you go to sleep, a couple of minutes. It's so easy, but the biggest thing, of course, and I'm sure you would know this with your lifestyle and with food and with exercise, it's consistency.
Absolutely.
Do it every day. Do it every day for a week. See how you feel. Check in. I promise you will feel different. I promise, because this happened to me. It's worked for me.
Well, going on from that, like obviously you do it every day. It's part of your ritual. What are some things that you've noticed from your past Eddie to your now Eddie, from reintroducing your breath work?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Well, past Eddie was...
I wish I met past Eddie.
I don't know if you did. Past Eddie was a crazy girl. Yeah. Look, past Eddie, love her. We love all versions of ourselves, okay? Past Eddie was just so dysregulated. Wake up, like pump the 3 shots of coffee or like the pre-workout. Go to a Barry's boot camp, like on Instagram, like no mindfulness whatsoever, no breath work. I was that girl 8 years ago that would get up at the yoga at the end of the sessions and like leave, because I was like, I'm too busy for this. Like, I don't need this. Like, I need to get out of it. And I've got important things to do, you know? Realizing that's the most important thing I needed was just to be with myself and breathe and have my hands on my body. So past Eddie was very dysregulated, and now literally bringing breath work, consistently practicing every day. Again, without sounding like arrogant or anything, but I am the most calm and regulated I've ever been in my life. And it is 100% because of breath work. And to be honest, it's still actually, without getting too deep here, it still actually does sometimes shock me just how different I am and how much my life is really changing from just going inside and working on myself and doing really small baby steps, but consistently, as like we were kind of saying to each other. And it's like those small things, 5 minutes of breathing in the morning, how it's changed not just my inner world, but then my outer world. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, and I can completely relate to that. Like, I was that girl as well who, you know, you finish the workout class, if there was a stretch, I wanted to leave. So I'm like, I don't need this. I'm here to burn calories. I need to go. And it was just this go, go, go mentality. And then if you look back on your productivity, it would have been so much lower than if you would have done that 5 minutes of breathing and stretching. And it just, I think your mindset of what health was back then when you're young and naive is just the really surface level.
Yes.
And then you realize that health is a healthy mind, a healthy body, a healthy spirit. It's your whole being. It's so much more than the physical.
Oh my God.
I can relate on you. And, you know, if you're someone who's wanting to give this a go and you feel like you're just not going the right path, I think this is your sign to just try something different. 5 minutes. It's 5 not minutes. Much.
Yeah. 5 minutes. And I completely agree with what you're saying in the sense of like, you know, physically what we look like when like you are physically beautiful, my God, but your energy and your essence you are beautiful from the inside out.
I'm gonna cry.
No, truly, Dom. Like
Yeah.
you embody what it, like you are so physically beautiful, but the inside of you is so genuine and truthful, and truth and authenticity has a resonance. It has a vibe.
Yeah.
I have a great BS radar. I don't want to swear.
Yeah.
I have a great BS radar, right?
Yeah.
Like when we practice going in, we really do that. It's all those cliche little sayings, like you start glowing from the inside out.
Absolutely.
And they're cliches for a reason, because they're true.
It's like that TikTok sound that's going viral at the moment, which is about you don't remember the body you saw at the pool or something like that, but you remember the way someone made you feel. And it's so true. It's like we all put so much energy into looking a certain way.
Yeah.
But then when you look back on your life and you think about the people you love,
Yeah.
you love them because they made you feel a certain way. They made you feel warm. They made you feel safe. They made you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's by doing these little rituals and habits, you're able to give that energy out. You're going to be memorable, and good stuff is going to come your way naturally.
Yeah.
And this is 5 minutes of breath work. And I think the next question I want to talk a bit more about the breakthrough breathing, because I had that experience.
Yeah.
Tom and I went to a breakthrough session and people were crying, people were screaming, like it was 3 hours.
Yeah.
It was quite an experience. You have hot cacao on entry.
Yeah.
And you obviously said when you did breakthrough breathing, you felt something immediately.
Yes.
I felt like the body tingles and things.
Yes.
I wanted to kind of ask you, generally, how long does it take for someone to have like those big emotional experiences from breath work?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. Like obviously so a breakthrough session, for anyone that doesn't know what that is basically where when breath work has different techniques and breathing modalities for certain outcomes and certain intentions. So when I say do 5 minutes of breathing in the morning, that is really to calm your nervous system, to get you in coherence, to get you feeling grounded, present, all the good stuff, right? A breakthrough session requires, what we do is fast breathing. So it's like in and out of the mouth, or in through the nose, out through the mouth. Wim Hof, if you've heard of him, it's that sort of vibe, right? So we do that.
Quite exhausting, really.
Oh yeah, it is. And that's why it's actually called breath work, right? Like it's actually not like, it's not easy. So a breakthrough breathwork session is very different to your 5 minutes of breathing in the morning or a meditation, right? It's very different. It's called work for a reason. What we do is when we do that fast breathing, we're getting into a sympathetic state, into that kind of fight or flight. We're kind of like triggering you. And I know it is confronting. It is definitely confronting. When we breathe like this, we are tapping into our subconscious. We are turning off that prefrontal cortex, that thinking, that doing, that analytical mind. So many of my clients come out of these sessions and they're like, I had no thoughts. I was just in complete bliss, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, well, that's because we're turning off that thinking mind. And so we tap into our subconscious. And our subconscious, if you don't know, is what holds everything. So since Dom was born, all of her emotions, her memories, her trauma, her conversations, everything is held in your vessel, in your temple, in your body. Same with everybody. So when we break through breath work, we're going there. We're going into your subconscious. Confronting.
Yeah.
Weird.
So much there.
Like daunting, bizarre, weird, strange, little woo-woo, little strange. That's where woo-woo can come in, okay?
Woo-woo is allowed.
Yeah, woo-woo is allowed for this one because it's weird. So that happens, and that's where physical sensations. So yes, your tingles like you experienced, or sometimes it can be really specific memories that we have swept under the carpet that we don't want to think about.
Yeah.
The body holds it. It will come up. When we breathe like this, it will come up. Absolutely. So my first session, specific memories came up from when I was little that I hadn't dealt with. That was intense. That was wild. That was confronting. It comes up, and yeah, it's not comfortable, but the most important bit is that integration. So we bring you up to this big sympathetic state, and then we bring you back down. And that's where that down regulating breath, the box breath, the calming breath, the nose breath, that's what's really important. So we bring you back down, and that's where you just kind of let whatever you sort of dug up come to the surface. And it's different every single time. whatever breakthrough breath work you do, it's different every time. This is how intelligent the body is. The body knows. So your body is so intelligent and magical that whenever you do this breakthrough breathwork session, is it knows what it needs. It knows what it needs to do. So it's different for everybody every single time. As I said, my first one, I had very specific memories of things that I hadn't dealt with, and I swept under the carpet. And truly, I got that stuff out. Like, I got the trauma out of the body. We're kind of like computers. We've got old files. We've got heavy, just like...
We've got a floppy disk.
Yeah, we got it all. We got it all. We need to get it out.
Yeah.
Like, so when we breathe like this, we're bringing it up to the surface, and it's freaking uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But then we let it go. And we let it go. Screaming, crying, shaking, women making noise. It's so, like, I would scream.
Yeah.
I would make sighs, pants, whatever. And again, I was by myself, so it was like fine. But
it's interesting when you're in that group setting.
Yeah, different in maybe a group setting. And of course, like, you know, and again, you can say, oh, like, I'm fine, I don't care about the people around me. But subconsciously, your body's like, this is uncomfortable. I'm tensing up, body's tensing up. And if we don't feel safe, we're not going to let anything go.
No.
So that's what's really important, I think, with my breath works, is that I make everybody, I'd like to think I make everybody feel safe, which is why they have the ability to let go and surrender and trust. But long-winded answer, but it's different every single time. And that's kind of what happens when we do a breakthrough session. It's basically just stuff that's in the body that comes up.
It's just being open to letting it go and just being there for it.
Yeah, which is hard. Consistency, practice, getting more into your body, mind-body stuff, the breath work, doing 5 minutes every morning is going to help you to get more into your body, which is going to help your intuition and your trusting and your surrendering and becoming more like connected to what is my body telling me, right? So it kind of leads you to that.
Pause. Put this back on. I heard it stop.
Yeah, I heard it stop too.
You did so well. You're doing like crazy good.
Thank you. I just love it. See, it lights me up. I just like I'm having a convo with a friend, which I am, but...
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah. We're on. Nice. I was like, we've got to let the question finish.
Yeah.
But this why this one's good.
Yeah.
You've always got it.
Yeah, got you, yeah.
Okay, we're going to get back into it. Okay, so if anyone hasn't tried breakthrough breathing, I'm convinced to go again, and I think everyone here listening is going to be convinced. So you were giving me beautiful compliments. I'm going to give you some compliments. You glow from within, woman. Like, when I first met Eddie in Peaches Pilates studio, I was like, who is this girl? Something about her is special. And as you said, it's this energy from within. You light the room up. So I wanted to touch on, what are your healthy habits that you've been working on, and how's your health journey going at the moment?
Good question. Yeah, some things that I do, obviously breath work, obviously. Inner child stuff. It's a biggie. Self-love.
No one talks about the inner child enough, and it's actually a Leo full moon, and the word is play. And me and Tom have really been trying to take on that play energy, because we work from home together, and you know, it's so easy to lose that and be all serious.
Yeah.
Obviously now we live together, you've got bills to pay.
Yeah.
You know, that can take away that play element. But I love that that's your second thing on the list, is just inner child. Play.
Yeah, just to play and just to be, I think, as I've just launched my own business, and it can be a little bit serious and it can be a little bit stressful. And it's, as I said to like people that are close to me, I'm like, it's extremely overwhelming, but in the most positive way. I try my hardest to not take anything too seriously and to play like a little kid. Honestly, I said to my friend the other day, I go through these phases where I need to watch like Harry Potter and Disney movies.
I saw that on your Instagram.
Yeah, I was like, my inner child, it needs to, she's still in there. Yeah. She's still in there.
She'll be in there till you're 100.
Exactly. And it's like, I will... I'll do things where it's like, instead of just like doing anything, I'll just be and watch a Disney movie. And I know it sounds again like a little bit like cliche and stuff, but it's that inner child stuff. And it's also the loving yourself bit. Now, it's not easy. It takes, not saying that I'm like, I love myself fully and I'm cured. I'm certainly not. But I can safely say, through all of the work that I've done on myself and through the breath work predominantly, is that I actually feel like comfortable like under this skin. Like, I actually feel like I genuinely like who I am, and I actually like love myself, my skeleton, my skin, whatever is in here, because of the journey of, again, working on myself and doing the breath work and going in. And I think if you truly love who you are and I don't mean superficially or surface level, and you, again, not ego, because you can tell it has a resonance. If you actually love yourself and love who you are, and I say this to like my really close girlfriends, like, you're so like rock solid, like, not, you're like a tree, like no one can push you or mess with you because you are so rooted in the love that you have for yourself. No one's gonna push over Dom. No one's gonna mess with her because you're like, well, I've got me. I'm good. Like, I'm good.
And I absolutely love that, because I've been getting a lot of DMs at the moment, people asking about self-love, people going through breakups, and the thing is, like, being in a relationship and self-love, like, you need to have both, and you're not going to find the right person until you have that self-love. And I found when I didn't have the self-love, when you talk about that rootedness and that grounding energy, I didn't have that when I was single, and it took a while for me to get that, and that's when I met Tom. But I remember being in like situationships and getting so hurt by the smallest things because I didn't have that love. I didn't feel rooted. I didn't believe in myself. I always was like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? But once you find that energy where you're just so confident and comfortable in your skin, it's like, if someone doesn't give you the respect you deserve, you're not going to chase after it anymore. And it's like amazing. And I think this is really good advice for people who are looking for that self-love, that maybe breathwork would be the best place to start, because you're going to start going within yourself and knowing yourself.
Yes, it's like the breathwork led me to loving who I am. I can't say that any lightly, because I came into my body for the first time in my life, and it was uncomfortable, don't get me wrong, but anything that's uncomfortable is just growth. You just grow. It's like what you were saying about when you moved away and like you were growing from there. It's like breathwork led me to actually loving. Whoa, I'm feeling like a bit emotional. Breathwork, woo! Breathwork led me to like actually embodying self-love and loving who I am.
Well, I think for me as well, like mindfulness and breathwork allowed me to stop punishing myself, because I would just, when you say you have that, like you feel your body, like you're sitting down and like, I'm just grateful that I have a body that can even just sit here, that can feel sunshine on my skin, that like can move. You get gratitude for those things. And, you know, I've had my past, like being in the modeling career, and let's put that back on. Yeah. I don't know why this keeps happening with this.
That's all right.
I swear, I know, I remember where I was.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah, my experience of being in the modeling industry and things like that, there was a lot of comparison and disordered eating. And I think only when I introduced mindfulness and, you know, breathwork, meditation, was when I was able to just be comfortable with who I am.
Yeah.
And when I didn't get certain castings or jobs, I didn't take it to heart. I just knew myself.
Yeah.
And that then led me to, you know, creating self-dom and just getting rid of that perfectionism and just allowing myself to be true. And people are always going to judge you. You've got to accept that in life. And you need to choose the people you want to be around in the tribe. So kind of what I was touching on is that breathwork and mindfulness allowed me to stop punishing myself.
Yeah,
and
I love that.
I can see you're getting quite emotional with certain things, like what kind of past traumas, if you're open to talk about it, do you feel like breathwork help you overcome?
So
and you don't need to.
No, that's fine. I think I experienced a lot of heavy, uncomfortable things. I think probably the biggest thing was my youngest sister was quite sick, and she had she was very unwell, and we almost like lost her. She almost passed away, and she had a brain tumor. So that was a biggie. And I think as well, when I was like a little girl, I suffered with certain things as well. And I think it's that classic thing of like, we go through really intense, heavy things, especially if you're a child, and we just scrunch it up and we don't want to feel it. And we just scrunch it all up and we put it to the back, right? So I grew up and I got into the wrong things, started hanging out with the wrong people massively. And like, I wasn't just like a little rebellious. I was like, you know, my family literally was like, you're going to either end up like dead or in jail. Like genuinely, that's where it was at. Like I would sleep. I was like living in the streets for a bit. I lived out of home for 2 years. I went to like rehabs. It's...
And it's such a shift to the woman you are now.
I know, like it is a journey. Like when I tell people as I'm like having friendships, like my best mate Dan who's in LA, when I told him about this stuff, he was like, you're lying. He was like, you're making it up. Like that's not true. How you are now, that's just not possible. So that was, my teenage years were hard. And again, that dysregulation, that fight or flight, I hated who I was. I was a shitty person. I was manipulative. I was jealous. I was angry. I was controlling. I was not, the core of me was not good because of these crazy, intense things that happened to me. And we all go through trauma, whether it's big or small. We all go through stuff. And again, it accumulates and it holds in the body. And so they would be probably the biggest things that sort of happened. And I guess my family fell apart. I didn't have a relationship with my sisters for years. I lived out of home for a long time. I went to like 6 different schools. I got kicked out of the first 2. Like I was bad. And it wasn't until I started, you know what? I just got really sick and tired of my own stuff. I was like, oh, I'm exhausted. And I remember I went to this retreat at 19 and the head of the guy was like, why are you here? Like you're 19. I'm like, why are you here? I was like, I just want to get fit and healthy. And then he was walking away. And in my head, I had this kind of like epiphany or like whatever you want to call it. And I went, just stop with the fakeness. Just be honest. Just be honest for once in your life. And I went, oh, sorry, come back. And I was like, I am really lost. I don't like who I am. I've been through some horrible things and I just want to feel better. Yeah. And that was the beginning because I had like honesty. I was being truthful. I was looking in. I freaking let go of the facades and the walls. I had so many walls. I had so many facades. I used to act so tough and so sassy and so like I'm such a boss lady. I'm not. I'm actually a marshmallow. I'm so soft and sensitive and like feminine on the inside. And I think I just let the walls go and let the facade down. And it took me a long time. And I think that's why I become so passionate and again, a little bit emotional about it, because if I can help anyone that is feeling lost or dysregulated or uncomfortable or sad or has ever had intense things like kind of what I'm sharing happen to them or around them, know that you're not alone and know that there are little tiny things that like can help. Like it can help, and there is light at the end of the tunnel if you're choosing to look at it.
Yeah. And I think that is why you're so inspiring, because you've actually gone through it. And I think as well it's inspiring for anyone listening to this podcast who hasn't started their fitness journey and they want to. It's like no one woke up and did breath work, went to the gym, ate healthy, meditated. Like everyone's on their journey and it's a forever journey, and everyone has had their hardships. And you know, I feel like maybe that's one of the reasons we connect so much is because we're our truest self and we're open about the hardships we've been through. And I'm grateful that you shared that. And it's, you know, it's authentic and it makes you relatable, because otherwise people see this gorgeous bombshell walk in the room, life put together, shooting, all this, but really it's like you've done the work.
Yeah.
Don't forget that you've done the work, and now you're trying to inspire other people to do the work. And you know, I'm so happy I got to hear that, because I didn't know your full story. You know? And you saying that was how you were as a teenager. As you said, your friend laughed at you. I'm like, what? Like, you literally are just like the picture of health.
Oh, thank you so it was like, and I think that's kind of what I was saying before even recording is like, and I think you would agree with this, is that yes, I was feeling better and that was amazing, but, and I'm sure you would know this, like with the influence that you have, is that it becomes bigger than you. Now you're like, I'm kind of on this little mission here where I just want to help other people feel better. Like, because that feels so fulfilling to me. Like, there's that classic saying, it's like, when we help, we heal. It's like me helping other people and people sending me messages being like, I did this. Like, it literally, it cures me. Like, I'm like, oh, wow. Like, through all of that pain and that suffering and those crappy 7 years, like, it's all meant to be. Yeah. It's all meant to happen, because now look what's happening now. Like, that ripple effect of being able to help other people. And I don't have any regrets. I don't have that victim mentality of like, why me? Why did this have to happen? Because it was all meant to. It was all perfect. It was all meant to be and like destined to kind of end up here today. You know what I mean? So it's like that pain turned into something.
Yeah. And I think as well, like anyone you listen to who we're, of course, inspired by, the Jay Shettys of the world.
Yeah.
They all talk about that they were just doing what they love every single day, trying to serve, trying to help, like what you're doing. And then they've become the biggest, best health podcast in the world. But that was never their goal. Their goal was always just to serve.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes someone great.
Yes.
Someone is great when they want to serve and they want to help. And, you know, you're doing that beautifully. And I think this would be a really nice moment to kind of share that me and Eddie are planning a little event.
We are.
So we want to, you know, we want to help people come together. Firstly, as you said, you're with the wrong group of people when you're young. And I think there wasn't enough things when we were young, like community events. It wasn't a thing.
So agree.
And I think it would be really exciting to bring people together who are like-minded. And yeah, on the 3rd of March.
3rd of March.
We're doing an event to raise money for Lifeline, which is also really fitting for what we've spoken about today. It's a charity really close to my heart. I think a lot of people are struggling, and I think social media makes people's lives look certain ways, but deep down, it's not how they feel. And just want to create a safe space for people to be authentic and genuine and move and breathe. And I thought, why not? Let me get my favorite people in the world together.
Yeah, why not?
Eddie, Bernie, and just do something great.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to see Eddie and see what she's about. And we're going to do a little question moment there, so you guys can ask Eddie some questions in real life.
Amazing. I'd love. That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And also, if people want to find more about you, where can they? Where can they find you, Eddie?
Yeah, so honestly, just Instagram at the moment. My website's being built, so my Instagram is just Eddie_Nelson, and in my bio you'll find my Ed at Bread. So my
Ed at Bread.
I know it's so funny. I thought of bread when I was in the shower before I named it Sacred Sophie, and so it's spelt BRED, which is the first 2 letters of breathe and the first 2 letters of my name, and the whole concept is like get your daily bread, your daily movement, your daily breath work, which is sort of why that is that. And yeah, so Eddie_Nelson and then in my bio is my business page. But I've got a website coming. I've got online like programs and subscriptions for people that have just always said to me after they do a session, they're like, do you have online? Can I be in your living room doing this? And I'm like, yes, I will make that happen for you. So that's all coming, doing online videos and stuff. So
you got to stay tuned.
Yeah,
you got to
please
follow and see what's going on.
Yes, thank you.
So Eddie, thank you so much. You are just so inspiring. As I said, you just glow. Like you have a halo above your head.
Oh,
you're a really good person, and I'm really excited for us to do an event on the 3rd of March. So stay tuned for that.
Yes.
And just a little reminder to you guys, if you can subscribe and leave a comment on the pod, it will really help grow this. I want to be able to make this as good as possible. Right now we're in my living room, which is gorgeous.
It's gorgeous living room.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
We're happy, but yeah, that would really mean the world. And again, let me know what guests you want to see, and let me know what you thought of today's ep. We'll see you on the next episode.
Amazing. Thank you.
You're amazing.
That was great.